All three of you are to be commended. You're all on the front lines of pushing for and or covering this fight. And I wonder if I can start with you, Representative Crocket. Are you satisfied that whether you go back or not now, that you have handed the baton to a Democratic Senate that understands the stakes?
Yeah, first of all, it's good to see you, Nicole. I am satisfied that we have fought harder than anyone thought that we could fight, that we have accomplished more than anyone thought that we could accomplish. But do I feel as if our job is done? I don't. I think that we've got to keep the pressure on. So when you read that article and they were talking about progressive members, I'm sure you can guess what side I'm on. I want to continue pushing. We know now that there's not going to be a recess today. We know that they will be working through the weekend. We know that they're potentially going to be working into next week. So long as they are in session, I am here. So the governor can call his sessions. I will not be in Austin on Saturday. Surprise, surprise. I will be here fighting for what I said I came to get, which was to get voting rights for those in not only the state of Texas, but in this country.
Representative Crocket, I usually put this question to the Rev, so he'll breathe a sigh of relief that I'm putting it to you today. Why is it, first of all, two-part question, why is it on Democrats to save democracy? And two, why does it divide Democrats tactically how to do that? I mean, I'm still a registered Republican, and I think this is the whole ballgame. This is existential as to not whether or not Democrats ever win again, which it is that, but whether or not people's votes are counted. I mean, this won't always be the state of the two parties. And you start disenfranchising voters and then making it so that whomever votes for who, it doesn't count. That is the beginning of the end of our democracy.
You know, you're absolutely right. And it's sad because they can't see the forest for the trees. I must give a shout out to Lyle Larson. Lyle Larson is the only Republican in Texas that actually voted with us. Lyle Larson has been trying to convince members of his party that this is not only bad for Democrats, this is bad for Republicans, especially Republicans in rural areas, which in the state of Texas, the majority of our Republicans are elected from rural areas. Our urban centers tend to be more Democratic, but they can't see that. They only see an opportunity at a power grab in some of our urban centers. And that's what they're focused on. You know, it shouldn't be our fight. But the reality is that it is our fight. And on top of that, you're right. There is always this division because sadly enough, we always want to be the good guys, right? So there are those that are like, oh, let's kumbaya with our colleagues from the other side of the aisle. And I'm saying a kumbaya to me is making sure that people's rights are protected. That is how we can start to come together, is by getting on the right side of history instead of continuing to disenfranchise people because you're too afraid to come up with a real agenda that will take care of more than just the extreme right that tends to be a little bit of the white supremacy side.
It does indeed tend to draw that these days. I want to ask you one more question, then I want to bring the Rev and Aaron in. When you said on this program that you don't need the legislation that's currently proposed, that you support it and you like it, but what you need to make sure that Texas voters are not disenfranchised and that their votes aren't ultimately nullified is an inch. Are you satisfied that you're going to get an inch?
I do believe I'm going to get there. You know, I had a conversation with Senator Warnock on Monday at the Poor People's rally, and he told me, thank you. And he specifically said, because of the work that y'all have done, this has ended up on the forefront instead of on the back burner. And it has a direct implication on Senator Warnock. We know that Georgia is upset about the two senators that we were able to get out of there. And Senator Warnock is up for re-election. And they want to disenfranchise so many people that most likely are very inclined to go out and vote for him. They want to throw their votes out if they do go vote for him, right? We're seeing that in Georgia. And so he said thank you. And he told me that he is working on that legislation that we anticipate is coming out hopefully sometime today. So I am satisfied that we are moving the needle. We were told today that there will be a vote as well. There are some that are optimistic. There are some that are not so optimistic. But it's our understanding that there will be a vote on voting legislation before they recess for the summer.